What is up, guys? This is Urba, and today we are back for another video. In this video, I'll be teaching you the 6 most important effects that you have to know in FL Studio. So let's get ready. The first is the EQ. Let's get something to EQ. In this case, it's gonna be a piano. Let's pull up my favorite piano preset, this piano 2K7, and let's make a quick chord progression, something future housey, maybe. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time with making this. I think I will make a tropical chord progression because I am already kinda used to that. Okay, let's clear these. Let's select these and let's put these to C#. And here I will make another video on how to make chords if you guys want. Even I can teach you how to make progressive or tropical house chord progressions. We can do a lot of cool things if you guys want. I'm here to teach, to help. So here it is, a very basic Kaigo style tropical house chord progression. Wrong note. Yeah, cause we should what the okay. Let's fix the chords now. Let's move these down. And then let's move these one semitone down, and then we can move these back. Again, move these ones down. This is messed up again. Okay, let's go now. Okay, so this is the basic progression, and let's remove reverb and delay because we are gonna use them later on. So first, let's add an EQ. My favorite equalizer is the FabFilter Pro Q. It is my favorite because you can make as much bends or dots for beginners on it as much you want, and it's a pretty cool EQ. It's one of my favorite EQs. It has some very cool features like soloing, and yeah, it's super cool. Definitely recommending it. It is not that expensive, so you should really grab it. Now let me get into the technical parts. With the EQ, you should usually cut something. Boosting is kind of a bad thing to do, so if you want to do it, you can, but it's not an okay thing to boost everything. Okay, so for this sound I'm going to cut every frequency under 18k hertz around here. And I realized that I don't even have the piano there. We already removed a lot of harsh frequencies. Now let's make a low cut. The low cut cuts the low frequencies. It's pretty easy. Self-explanatory, I guess. Okay, so now we have cut the frequencies that we do not like, but we still need. The sound is still a bit muddy, so let's try to clean up some frequencies in here. a good feature in Pro Q2 is that we can solo our bellows, how they call it. So we can find harsh frequencies very easily. Before and after you remove a frequency like this, you should always turn the EQ off and listen it with and without. In this case, I think that the reduction was too hard and we reduced some good frequencies, so let's decrease that, and also let's move these a bit so a bit more frequencies can come out, and the piano will be, yeah, will not have that strange sound. Now the EQ only adds to the sound. You can also do something. If you want, if you have a very dark piano, let's choose an FL keys, which is like this. Not this one, the dark piano. Let's move this one octave down, or maybe two. With this kind of pianos, you can boost the high end, not the mid-range, the high end, and it is gonna get some high frequencies that are going to make it brighter. This piano is a bad example because this is like a low-passed piano, so a very mid-range piano, very dark piano. But in a basic case, if we use a Nexus piano, like a Nexus Grand piano, maybe this one, you will be able to see what I'm talking about. This piano does not have that much high end, so what we can do, we can boost the high end to give it some. I will increase the knob and then drag it in this direction until a point where it gets very harsh, and I boost the mid frequencies, which are very bad and very harsh. So yeah, let's do this. Okay, this is it for the EQing. Now, let's go for reverb. The reverb is the second most important, in my opinion, or one of the most important elements in mixing dance music. So, let's go back to our dance piano. Shiny and bright, perfect, the way I like it. Now, reverb is a pretty interesting element. It adds some air and adds some room to the sound. In my opinion, this Valhalla Vintage Verb is one of the best reverb plugins. I know that a lot of guys use Valhalla Room, but in my opinion, Valhalla Room does not have that much settings, and you can easily get stuck with it. You do not have a control for the low cut, you do not have this much controls, and pretty much you can get a lot better sound out of Valhalla Vintage Verb. Also, Valhalla Vintage Verb has a lot more rooms. So yeah, for this sound, I think the Bright Hall will just make it super shitty, and we will have to combine the reverb with the last technique I showed you, the EQing, because it adds some high frequencies that we will have to remove. So let me show you what I mean. Oh, and I have to remove the delay and reverb from the sound itself. As you can hear, there's a little like noise, like white noise in the air behind the piano, so we can cut that out with my EQ, favorite EQ. Let's go to high cut and like this. Also, let's cut some of the low end. But the sound is still a bit muddy and we still did not get the result we wanted. So, another thing we can do is we can put a bit higher decay. The room size, we can also mess with that, but that's another thing. We can add a fruity peak controller. And what we want to do pretty much is we want to go to this vocal room, click this square up here, and there's this option called browse parameters, and then here are the parameters of the effect, and then here is this mix knob, and you can link that to controller. Then go to this thing and select peak controller peak. Here is the mapping formula. You should choose where is it? Inverted here. Then you can accept it. And now we want to work with the peak controller. We want to set the bass, and I want to have both open. Let's make this one small. Where's the peak controller? Here. Let's close the mixer for now, and let me show you. If I increase the bass, the mix will change. So we want it to be at around 50%, like this. The volume, this is another important knob. You should set that to around 85%. The tension is very important. I like this kind of slow, but if you like this one, this very instantaneous, you can also use it. Decay is not that important, to be honest. I usually just leave it how it is. So now what will happen, pretty much the reverb will duck when the piano plays, and when the piano stops playing, the reverb will come back and will fill out these little spaces between the notes. Pretty cool. Let's move on to the third effect, the delay. The delay is another very important effect that will give also some room to the sound. Delay is often used on vocals, background synths, or leads. My favorite delay, even if delay tree is out, is the fruity delay tree. It's very simple, and for a delay, you don't really want more things than this plugin has. My usual settings for it are ping pong, a cutoff around there, volume around there, time I leave it there, and this dry I move it there. So this is what we get. Pretty cool, right? For the delay, I don't really have any tips. this is all you have to know. It adds room to the sound. Let's say if we have a very big lead, I will choose one from Nexus. Here we have dance leads and super slow times 4. This is a preset used by very big producers. So let's make one chord. I don't want more than one chord now. An F minor chord, because now let's select this space and let me show you what happens. We can also add another B controller for the delay, so the same thing happens. I will not explain it. For the delay it's faster because we can just right click it. So you have to link this one inverted. Let's go. And you want to put it like that, like there. Okay, so what'll happen, this sound will have a very big room because the delay and reverb will come up on it when the chord ends. Let me show you. Now we can add a higher delay for a higher in for this one, and maybe lower this a bit so it's higher when it comes out. We can add a bit more time in this case because we have time for it. Got it? This one was a bit too intense, but I think you could hear what I was talking about. Let's switch the sound back to my piano. And now I'm too lazy to make another chord progression, so I will just go here, and I have some chord progressions here. This one, it's stolen from a J Hardway track, so yeah. No, oops. Where is it? Attack Nexus. I think this one. Okay, we can turn the delay off in this case because I do not like it that much. Also, this is a very important thing that you just heard an example for. The delay pushes the sound in the background, so be careful with it. Now we have our fourth effect, which is compression. Let's increase the velocity just to, have some more power. Now let's remove the reverb so you can see what happens if we do not have these effects. And also remove these again. The sound is really in your face, and with a little bit of reverb we can push it to the background, which is good. So what if I decide to add a sub bass to this? So let's quickly copy. Oh, I will not copy it. I'll just I do copy it. Okay. It's not that hard, to be honest. Oh, wait, that's not a low note. This is it, and boom, 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 and like that. Okay, so we copy this to our 3-times oscillator, move it to 1 octave down, or maybe one more, and so we have this bass. So to keep this bass consistent, we want to use a compressor. My favorite compressor is the Fruity Limiter, which is a compressor too. Has a built-in compressor, let's say. Now, my basic settings for compressor are 30 decibels, threshold, 4:1 ratio, short attack, 15 milliseconds, 200 milliseconds release, and gain boosted to 5 decibels. This is all we need for a sub bass. Look at how consistent our sub bass is. This is perfect. With compression, we can also enhance our piano, which is right here. Okay, I will make this piano a little bit stereo. So let's add a compressor to it. But in this case, I'm gonna add my favorite compressor, the OTT. The OTT is one of the most amazing compressors I ever found on the internet. It's a free download and you can get very cool results out of it. It's pretty much a multi-band compressor, so you can compress differently the high end, the high frequencies, the middle frequencies, and low frequencies of the sound. Let me show you how to do that. I'll set the mix to 30% because it's very dangerous to have a high mix on the OTT because it can mess up your mix. It adds a lot of high frequencies, a lot of harsh frequencies to the sound, which ones we don't want. So for the piano, we don't want to compress any of the low frequencies. We also want them to clean them. So we can do that with the OTT. Now, I increased this knob, this thing, which is gonna be louder. As you see, this orange or brown little section is the upwards compression, and this one is the downwards compression, I think. I might be wrong, and they're not that, but that's what I can remind, I guess. And now the high end will pop out a little more, and it's gonna be a lot clickier. It's gonna have its transients, its clicks, and harder. It's gonna be harder hitting. Yeah, let me show you. To be honest, I really like this ODT on the piano, so I will leave it. The sub bass is pretty good too. Now we are at the fifth effect, which is sidechain. Sidechain is something that you can associate with compression, because back then they used to sidechain with compressors. So now let's pull up a random kick, which I will use this back for, which is very good, I think. Okay, better now. This kick is very good. I will turn off the loop points and I will set the time to none, and now I will add this to the mixer. Let's enable everything, and let's add the kick on every 4th step. Now you can barely hear the kick because of the sub bass has the same frequencies as the kick. So if I turn the piano off, let me show you. I pull up a parametric EQ. It's the best way to show it. And here's the bass. And here's the kick. It has a bit more frequencies, but if we remove it and if we only look at its fundamentals, it really only has that one. So yeah. Now let's enable everything. So to solve this, we can use a compressor, how I said before. So we can route these to this track, and we can route this kick, we can sidechain to this track. So now what do is we pretty much add our fruity limiter, go to compressor mode, choose the kick, set a threshold, which one does not have to be that high. I think we can go with 25 or something. For the ratio, again, we can keep it a bit lower, and we do not even have to mess with the gain. So this is what we get. The kick is already a lot cleaner, we can hear it a lot better. But what if we want something great? We want something cool. What we can use a volume shaper sidechain plugin. In this case, I'm gonna use the X for LFO tool. You can also use the FL Studio's built-in gross beat, which is pretty good with the sidechain preset. Or you can use Nicky Romero's Kickstart plugin, which is again pretty nice. You can also use the volume shaper plugin, but I do not have that, so I cannot show you that. Now, the cool thing in LFO tool is that you can pull up the kick and pull up LFO tool, and then you can kind of shape it to the shape of the kick. So I can see that this kick's main part is very short and it has a decay that stops around the mid area. So I will do it like this at a point there and make it pretty much reduce here like that, and then I will make this one like that, and I think some sidechain like this can work. Let's hear. We can also use the built-in sidechain presets that LFO tool has. This one will leave the transient out, but I think I will go with this basic sidechain, and I will just drag this down and hopefully it is gonna work. It's again clashing with a kick, so we already know what to do. We can add our sidechain plugin, but for the sub bass we want to remove a little bit more so they really do not clash. How I like to do it is to drag this all the way down so it starts from 0 volume, and drag this here so it takes more time to get on full volume. So now everything is a lot cleaner. We can already hear the kick again, which is pretty good. Now we are on to today's last effect, the distortion. The distortion is a pretty important effect too. I do not use it that much myself, but it's pretty important, so please use it. Distortion. For distortion, you can use a lot of plugins. FL Studio has a lot of good distortion plugins. To mention some, let's go through. Blood Overdrive is pretty good. Fast Disc is very nice. Soft Clipper is also very cool. And a Wave Shaper is my favorite FL Studio built-in distortion. You also have the Hardcore plugin, but that is just too hardcore for me. Okay, so what distortion does, it adds harmonics. It takes the main frequency of this sound and it kind of doubles it. It spreads it out, so it's gonna get more. Yeah, at a point with distortion, you can add some high end to your sounds, some harsh high end that you will have to EQ, and it's gonna be super annoying, but otherwise it's pretty cool. So let me show you how to add distortion to a sub bass without the higher we put this knob, the harder the distortion will be. If we put it up in the corner, it's gonna be hardcore. A very popular distortion plugin is the Camel Crusher, just that I do not have it on my new computer, so I cannot show you how it works. That's my all-time favorite distortion. Now we will have to add a FabFilter Pro Q to the sub bass to really remove all the frequencies that we do not like and that the wave shaper added. Pro tip from the pros: add one. To get a cleaner sub bass, you can also cut the low end at around 18 Hz, so the very low end that we cannot hear will not come out. And now let's mix our new powers of mixing, and let's master this track. So for mastering, you usually want to use a multi-band compressor, which is Maximus in this case. I will do a very basic master, so I will kind of avoid multi-band compression in a way. Let's do this. Let's make this kind of shape, and it's all I need for high. Maybe increase it, make it a bit more pop out. For this one, we only want some kind of compression like that. And for the lows, we want them to be boomy, so we can make it like that. So we have some compression now. Now to make this track into the final loudness, we can add some saturation to it, some clipping. So what we need to do, we want to add a very small amount of seal and a very small amount of saturation threshold. And now you want to put this all the way up. Now this is gonna get distorted because what these knobs do, they do not let our sound, which I will just get a fruity decibel meter for, to go above 0. So I will drag this around there and make this bigger, so you will be able to see what happens if I put that knob all the way up there. It gets very distorted, so we have to lower this knob. So now everything is on max loudness. If you have any questions about mixing, feel free to ask them in the comments, and if I did anything wrong, because I might, make sure you comment down below and tell me that, oh my god, Azerbaijan, you're wrong. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, hope I could help you to get better in mixing, and I think I will see you soon. Peace.